Hello and welcome to Doc Aviv 2021 at the Cinematheque around Tel Aviv and online. My name is Shmulik Duvdevani and I'm happy to be here with the director of This Rain Will Never Stop, Alina Gorlova, which is screening in our international competition. This Rain Will Never Stop is also available online until July 10th. I'll switch, Alina, please, to Hebrew for a minute. שלום וברוכים הבאים לדוק אביב 2021 בסינמטק ברחבי תל אביב, באונליין. אני שמוליק דובדבני ואני שמח מאוד להיות כאן עם הבמאית של הגשם לא יפסיק, אלינה גורלובה, שמוקרן במסגרת התחרות הבינלאומית. הגשם לא יפסיק זמין אונליין עד 10 ביולי. And thank you, Alina, for being with us, direct from Kiev.
Hello.
Hi, and it looks sunny and nice in Kiev. I have some questions, and of course, if our listeners and viewers have questions as well, then send it to us through the Q&A, or we'll get them through the chat. So I'll ask the first few questions. Hopefully, the audience will join us. Maybe the first question is a question you are already fed up to answer, but I would like to ask it anyway. Why did you choose to shoot your film in black and white? And even more importantly, weren't you afraid that this artistic choice might even create an aesthetization of the situation that you are presenting in comparison to color?
Yeah. Hello, dear Shmulik. Nice to meet you, and hello, dear audience. And yes, it's really it's a nice question, especially the second part of this question, because of course it was a risk to make a black and white movie, especially for the distribution, especially for the broadcasters and etc. So I decided to make black and white movie from the very beginning. It was planned like a short movie at the beginning. 4 years ago, I decided to make like short documentary about some female protagonist, not female, sorry, male protagonist from Donbas area. And when I was in Donbas, in for like around 5 years ago, yeah, I saw this space in black and white immediately. I understood that it's there are a lot of I could create a lot of senses with composition, with some rhymes, and I decided to start to search some protagonist, and then I found Andriy Suleiman. And it was great. His destiny was great. And this combination between Donbas and Syria. And I realized that I could create like one space, one world without borders, where we could, where we see, for example, Donbas like hips, but we could like feel that it seems like Syria, some dunes and so on. So it was like a first visual idea. From black and white, this film actually started. And yes, during a lot of workshops, we visited a lot of workshops, and we had a lot of comments about black and white. And I had really some moments of doubts when I thought that maybe I should change my idea to color, but it was around 1 month. And then I decided, no, it should be black and white. And I think it's not a mistake. And yes, about I had this question about glamorizing the war. Mm-hmm. And yes, but it's the most important thing because I had an idea that the viewer will have a question after, but not the question, maybe some thoughts after the screening. So the war is really awful, but it's so beautiful at the same time, Because in my film, I'm trying to talk about some phenomenon of our humankind or of humanity. Because on one hand, we are struggling and we know that the war is something really, really bad and awful. But on the other hand, we have a lot of parades. We are producing a lot of weapons and we are creating heroes. So we need some battle stories. So like I'm I will I'm trying to not to judge. I'm trying to explore in some way this aspect of our life.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned weapons, and indeed, you actually show how weapons are being made, are being manufactured in your film, and it's a beautiful, if I may say so, it's a beautiful scene, at least aesthetically. Um, but you talked about a landscape, and I think that it's not only a film about Andrei, but I think it's also, and I may even claim it's mainly a film about landscape, because when I was watching the film, sometimes I had no idea where we are, and it looked as if you are filming a landscape that actually is an existential state of homelessness,
Mm-hmm.
of being a constant fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the beginning we are in Donbass, and then suddenly we are in Syria and Iraq, and the Kurdish provinces. Was that intentional?
Yeah, of course. So actually, it also I had this question about captions, about how to navigate a little bit person, a viewer, but I decided to navigate with another things, with metaphors, with some rhymes, to try to build some story inside the head. And it's very important that I really think it's not like some new idea, but anyway, I think that cinema, it's in some way, it's like a dream. That's why I think that this journey could be like a dream for like not for Andriy, but for us, like a viewer. And it was so why we are starting from this like from these landscapes in Donbass in the beginning, these aerial shots. So it's looking like we are landing somewhere, like we are aliens. And that's
Mhm.
why the storytelling is quite strange, because we don't know anything about this world right now. And we are starting to understand this world. And in our film, we are saying that like war and peace, black and white, these opposite sides, life and death, it's something, it's like, it things together, you know, like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And uh, moving to Andrei, it seems as if he's in a constant state of being in conflict zones. I mean, he fled Syria, and then as a volunteer in the Red Cross, he actually finds himself in Donbass. And both Donbass and Syria, these conflict zones are part of his identity. It means that he is a young man who is actually in a constant state of being in in conflict zones. Um, how did you relate to that when
Uh,
you decided upon building the film or the structure of the film?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that I was trying to present Andriy like this guy. He didn't choose any destiny for himself. You know, it's very important. So actually, Red Cross, of course, he decided to start to volunteer there, but actually, he had no any possibility to do. That's why it was like a chance. It was like a good opportunity to do something, to develop himself, yeah, in your life, to develop some skills. But anyway, you should understand that this little city in Donbass, you actually you don't know what to do there, and moreover you have the war. That's why it's quite hard situation. It was quite hard situation for Andriy, and you know, like he like he's joined to this flow of his destiny, of this life, of the situation. That's why.
Mhm. And how did you meet him, actually? Why did you choose him, or it just, or just moved that you met many people and then decided to concentrate?
Yeah. As I said, I was searching for some protagonist, and I asked my friend, photographer, about some stories, and she said about this, like this guy, this Andrei, and yeah, and I met him, and he was really shy and really good person, and I was really touched, and he told about awful things, what he actually saw in Syria. And I felt, like a big pain inside him, and also about Syria and about Donbass. And he told really interesting things about religion. So he was actually Muslim when he was a teenager. Yeah, he made these rituals, and he said I felt this crisis inside inside Andriy, that he said that he couldn't believe in this anymore because he saw what actually religion could do. Yeah, and that's why he changed his opinion about this. And yes, and that's why I felt this crisis. And he said that he don't know what to do, or to go to Europe, to Germany, like many other relatives from his family, or maybe. And he said, I want to come back. I want to come back and to do something in Syria. So from this side, I felt this desire. I saw, like I heard this desire to come back. And from this first interview, I decided that here is will be probably the main line, the way, way to home.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, were there some scenes, for example, that you wanted to shoot and you felt that by shooting them you may endanger Andrei or someone else, and you decided, just to step aside and just not to interfere, not to be part of the.
Yes. We actually we filmed some scenes during the funeral scene. The scene when the women, they were crying, and actually the family asked me not to put it into the film, and because it's like in their culture, it's like something intimate, and of course I said yes. And actually during the editing process I understood that I don't need it, so it's something out of my film.
Mm-hmm.
But actually I don't have any other scenes in my film which could provoke in some way my protagonists.
Mm-hmm. And when you started making this film, and I'm very interested in the ethical issues that arise when we are making a documentary. As it is well known, when we are making a documentary, we are making a film about the historical world, and the ethical issues are very much are the most important, or maybe the most important issues. Were there any ethical guidelines that you used, or that you adhered to while making the film? Again, especially when making a film about human misery, about conflict zones.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like I'm trying to give something to my protagonist. Like it could be different things. For example, to make photo for them, or to record some, not to record, to like transfer some video material for their personal, I don't know, using and so on. Maybe sometimes even we gave some money, just not so much, but it's okay to help people. For example, this old man with goats, we gave some money for the this food for animal. So it's okay. That's why I'm trying not to do any harm things for my protagonist. I'm thinking about this every time, and you should be honest with your protagonist. You should say honestly why you need this film, and you should, I think, answer honestly to yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe I would like now to go back, and of course, if our viewers have any questions, they are most welcome to ask. I want to go back to the structure of the film, because you use a very interesting structure. Actually, I have two questions that are connected. First of all, you're using a kind of circular structure. It starts from the Arabic number for 0, goes to 9, and then back to 0. We expect it to be 10, but then it's back to 0.
Yeah.
Is this circular structure is a kind of,
Concept.
let's say, a point of view, or a statement about the ongoing war and the war in general, which is, of course, something very pessimistic to think about, though very realistic as well. And another question, every time that there are numbers, we also see glimpses, very short shots, less than a second, of the landscape. Why did you use these landscape shots?
Yeah. So I will start from the first question. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So you actually you answer very, very well, because it's pessimistic, but it's realistic. The war. So we are talking about some things, some good or bad. I don't care actually. So these things, they are, and they will be in our life. So it's important to understand, like, the conflict. It's some actually conflict. It could be on the physical level. I don't know, you understand, like on the physical level, it's something very important in our life, some conflict with some material. So of course it's philosophy, but anyway, I had these thoughts during the filming. And yes, and that's why we had this idea with chapters, but actually we had titles for each chapter. We have, every time we have this 0, then we have transitium, so blood, war and peace, some like a little title. But I understood later that I couldn't collect these titles in one film, even I couldn't. Yeah, and that's why
it would be too presumptuous.
Yeah. And then this amazing idea that the first numbers, and it's something ancient, and it's starting from 0, and we are talking about cycle every time during our film. So it was really important topic in our film, inside our crew, So, and the second question, could you please?
About the landscapes, the pieces of landscape,
Yeah.
the short shots, yes.
Like this decision I made during the final stage of post-production. Like it was, for example, like situation, tomorrow I have to deliver master of the film. And by myself, I made these little things because I understood that we are using it at the beginning and at the end. The film is quite long, and that's why I have to repeat a little bit the point of view for the viewer, from which side we are looking on the story. We are looking on the story from like, it's like about alienation, like we are looking on another planet, you know. That's why I decided it was like the last decision in the film. These things.
When the film was made, how was it accepted at festivals in the Ukraine, in Donbass, by Kurds who have been watching it, by Russians?
You know, like from the middle of our like production, when I realized which film actually I'm making, I realized that we have two, like how to say, like two sorts of audience, like our audience and another audience which just like, it's not something bad, but they just don't understand this film. And I realized that I have to make this film for this audience, which actually I didn't understand this very well, this film from the very beginning. That's why every time I have like a 50-50 in the cinema, and I think it's okay, and I like it actually. I'm waiting for the Donbass screen. It's really interesting, but we are waiting for some distribution in Ukraine, so it's really important for us. And I didn't hear any comments. Actually, not so much comments from Kurds. It's really also interesting, and we hope that we will have some screenings probably in Iraq or in some distribution.
Because there is also a scene at quite at the beginning of the film where they are shouting, "Don't go there," when people are emigrating, actually entering Russia or going through the border into Russia. And I thought this is a very provocative scene where actually I think it's the only time, or maybe one of very few times, that you actually deal with the Russians and the conflict in Donbass and in the Crimea area. So I was wondering about the Russians as well, whether there was any response.
We don't have any screens in Russian, unfortunately. So we have some, like a rule here in Ukraine to stop any relationships with Russia, even in cultural field. It's quite painful, of course, because a lot of good and amazing people are living there. But anyway, right now it's impossible to communicate. So yes, the war, you could see, it ruins some communication between people, between countries. Yeah, I don't know. So I heard some comments, but not in political, you know, not about political things.
And maybe a few last few questions, because we have, I think, 6 or 5 minutes left. I think this is your second film, if I'm not mistaken. Third. If you can, let us know how you actually came into making documentaries, how you came into filmmaking, because it's not, of course, this is a Doc Aviv Film Festival, but mainly filmmakers do not specifically choose documentary filmmaking, but fiction film. So how did you come to documentary? Who were the directors or the films that influenced you the most?
Yeah, of course. So actually I was learning fiction film during, during my university process, educational process. But you know, I was thinking about documentary every time. It was really interesting for me. But I hadn't any time to develop like this direction. But later, I decided to start, and actually the revolution played a big role in this, and not only for me, but in our actually documentary cinema in Ukraine. It's really important because a lot of people, directors, decided to start to film documentary, to make documentary, because and you know, the most important thing, that the audience, the people, they wanted to watch some stories about themselves, about some events during the revolution. Yeah, and during this period of time, I just realized.
When talking about revolution, you're talking about
Maidan.
when?
Maidan.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2013, Maidan revolution, before the war. And yes, and during this period of time, I realized how actually this reality could, like, I don't know, could play in some way, and how many stories actually you could film, how many emotions you could catch in documentary. And you know, I was really I was surprised how to work with reality, how to play with reality.
Yeah.
Because
And now maybe just to think to talk about your protagonist, Andriy. You mentioned earlier before we started the recording that he is still in the Red Cross. Can you tell us a little bit about what he's doing now? How is he?
He's working.
The film. How did he react to the film?
He reacts very emotional. He said that he didn't expect that it will be so nice. So it's really, you could even understand that we filmed like the funeral of his father, and I think that I'm sure that the family will. It's like a great present actually for this family, and they could come back to this film after some years. You know, it's really interesting that we catch this important moment, because this family, this big family, Suleiman, they were living on one street, even some of them in one house, and then they had to move in different countries, in Iraq, in Ukraine, in Germany, and they are like a gathering in one film. It's some really nice, I think, side of this film.
Okay, Alina, that concludes my questions. And of course, this talk can be watched on Facebook. First of all, again, I really was influenced by your film. I mean, it was touching. It was moving. It was, you know, it had a lot to do with the, as I mentioned, with the capturing of the state of uprooting and homelessness. And I thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully we'll meet you here in Tel Aviv with your next film. No corona, and everything will be okay, so we'll be able to meet you personally. So I wish you all the best with your film, and again, it was great talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this conversation and for these questions. Thank you for the compliments.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.